What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode. It's been a minute, right? Well, there's been a reason for that. I'm gonna tell you all about it. Later on, we'll get a little bit more into Pokemon and all that good stuff. First of all, there's a reason why I haven't posted in about 4 months. And let's just start from the beginning, I guess. I'm up here in the Rocky Mountains. I needed to find a quiet place to think about some of the stuff I've been going through. In 2024, in June or July of 2024, I hurt my back real bad. Now, real bad to some people means a totally different thing for others. Real bad for me was herniated a disc in my back. It's protruding onto some nerves, and I couldn't walk for close to a month. I couldn't walk at all. Just good enough to crawl back and forth to the bathroom. And luckily for me, I have a beautiful wife and supportive family who wants me to get better. And big shout out to them. Thank you, Jesse, and my kids. Appreciate you so much. I love you. This whole time I've been vending. It took me like 5 or 6 months before I felt good enough to be up and about on my feet and stuff. I feel like this story evolves and graduates to something different every time I tell it, because my timeline is always off a little bit, you know. It's like a month here, a month there. Everything starts running together when you're not feeling well, and time passes by so fast you don't really know what in the world's going on until it's too late. Sit down there for a minute. Anyways, I started vending in January of 2025. And we've been doing it now. This is the end of September. And we've been to Las Vegas, Oklahoma, Denver, a few other local shows. And when we first started out, I had to start out really small. Just 1 or 2 display cases, small ones with some Pokemon cards. And for me, it was more of an outlet than anything else. I was just trying to occupy my time, figure things out for myself, because I was feeling like absolute dog crap. My back was hurting all the time. I was taking like 8-10 Advil and Tylenol a day to try and stay functional. I started going to physical therapy, and the whole time as well I had to do light duty because it's a workman's comp case. So I've been doing light duty work at a store, trying to make the best of it, trying not to be depressed about my situation and whatnot, because you get severely depressed because you're having to do a bunch of stuff you don't want to do, and you're wasting a bunch of time on stuff you don't want to be doing. You end up doing tons and tons of stuff that you wouldn't normally do because your back is hurt. And you know, once it turns into a lawsuit or whatever, you got people watching you. They're coming to where you work, driving by your house, doing all kinds of stuff, invading your privacy, so to speak. It's just a lot. You're always anxious. You're always depressed because of the things that you want to be doing, but you can't be doing because you're afraid somebody's watching you or some bullshit like that. It changes your whole life. You don't trust people like you should be able to trust people. It's just a lot. So yeah, things have been really crazy for me. Some of you might be asking, I don't know if I've ever talked about this before, probably not, is how'd you get hurt? Well, I was truck driving. Long story short, I was a truck driver. I've been a truck driver for quite a while. I've been all over the United States. I've seen the most amazing things and some of the most crummiest pieces of crap parts of the country, and some of the most beautiful parts of the country. Anyways, I lifted a door the wrong way at a Walmart. Back went out on me, and long story short, ended up in the hospital, couldn't walk. I don't want to get too much into the specifics because, like I said, there's a lawsuit going on and I don't know how that's going to turn out yet. So it's just been a lot. You go through all kinds of stuff, you know, like what'd you do to yourself? You blame yourself, you blame a lot of other people. So many things could have went differently when you get hurt that bad. And the worst part about the whole thing is the only people in your life who actually believe you are the people that you're the closest people around you who see you suffering every day. There's lawyers and all kinds of stuff involved, and no one believes you. No one believes anything you say. It doesn't matter how many different doctors you've been to. It could be half a dozen, and the opposing counsel of whoever the lawsuit is against will just have you go see one doctor that they choose, that they pay for, and that is everything. Like some quack, and he just is willing to write a report for money saying this guy's not hurt or whatever, and it totally just screws with your whole, not just like the court case or whatever you got going on, not just that stuff, but it also screws up like your state of mind, because you've been going through this for over a year, and now it's almost, they're trying to make it seem like it never happened, which is probably the most screwed up part of the whole thing. It's just unimaginable how shitty some people are, and some people that exist in that state of mind in the world that we live in right now. Even with all the technology and all the record keeping and x-rays and MRIs and just all the stuff, a year and a half worth of documentation, and they try to make it seem like it just never happened. Of course they want it to be that way, you know? Man, it's so beautiful up here. It's so peaceful. I don't know how much of this you guys are going to be able to see, but the colors are changing. The trees are turning gold. It's just the beginning of fall, basically. And we're up here just a little bit southwest of Estes Park in Colorado. And so much has changed around here. I've been in Loveland, Colorado since 1992. We lived here before that a long time ago, in the late 80s, or no, probably the early 80s. And Loveland was a small town. Estes Park was the most beautiful place on earth, in my opinion, back then. It's just seen so much growth in the last 10 or 15 years. It's unimaginable. It's worst case scenario for the locals, for sure. I would say just in Loveland, Fort Collins, Greeley alone, 50,000 people have moved in the past 5 years, probably. And it's all from California, Florida, Washington. It's totally changed the ecosystem, so to speak, for lack of a better word that I can think of right now, of people's mentality, the way they treat other people, the businesses that have moved into the area are more big box storage type, and so many of the small mom and pop shops have disappeared. It's just unbelievable that an area can change as much as it has here in Colorado. The politics alone are unbelievable, just so backwards and stupid, and it's unimaginable. You got to be almost afraid to talk to people. My whole life I grew up saying, "Hey, what's up, guys?" or "Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?" Trying to be cordial, trying to be friendly to people. And now it's just like you can't say, "Hey, what's up, man?" because you don't know if that's going to get you in trouble. You can't say, "What's up, guys?" because they might not be guys. It's weird, for sure. So like I was saying, this might be your first time watching this channel, I don't want you guys to think that this is like the normal type of content that I make. Normally it's Pokemon POV, point of view stuff. And like I said, I've been vending since January. I've been collecting cards and TCGs since I was 14 years old. And after about 3 or 4 weeks of laying in bed after I got hurt, not being able to do much of all, like I said, except go to the bathroom and come back. And thank God for my wife. I love you so much, Jesse. After laying in bed for that long, feeling sorry for yourself, getting depressed, I had to start to think about the future, what I'm going to do with my future, how I was going to support my family. Because obviously, as bad as I got hurt, back injuries don't just go away. You live with them for the rest of your life. I had to start thinking about the future big time. And one of the things that I've always had going for me is I always knew about cards. Didn't matter if it was Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, a plethora of other TCG games. I just always liked playing them. I liked collecting them when I was growing up. I just always felt that it was kind of a harmless way to occupy my time and keep my brain busy. I come from a different generation. Obviously, I'm 47 years old now. When I was growing up, we didn't have cell phones. We barely had some of the first consoles that ever existed for video games, like Nintendo and Sega Genesis. I know that there's some that came out before those, but those are the ones that I was able to have when I was growing up. My parents bought me a Sega Genesis, and that was huge because it was $189 back in a time when you could work all week and make just over $100 for an adult. So it was a really big deal that they were able to do that for me, because we didn't have a lot of money, and it's hard to break that cycle, you know? It's hard to go from not having a lot to having a lot. I feel like my kids have a lot, but we aren't rich by any means. I mean, we have a house, we have a roof over our heads, we have each other, we have cars, we have, everything you could need to survive, we have it. And I'm very grateful for that. And it's something I've worked so hard for my entire life. And I've been working full time since I was 15 years old. So, man, what's that? That's 32 years of full-time work. It's no wonder my back gave out on me, right? Anyways, when I first started selling Pokemon at shows, it was, like I said, kind of an out for me. I was in a bit of a dark place. Still am, to a degree. I mean, nothing is normal about the life that I'm living right now, and I'm hoping to change that really quickly. But I was so happy to be at shows. I was so happy to be interacting with other people who enjoyed the same thing that I enjoy doing, which is collecting cards, selling cards, having fun doing it, trading. For me, the interaction, the talking with people, and the collecting is the most important thing for me. Secondary, which is kind of a byproduct, is making a profit, which is amazing. And when that happens, it's amazing. But I'm here to tell you right now, especially in the industry, the way the industry is right now, if you're looking to flip Pokemon to make money on it, this is the worst possible time to try to get into it and start to try and make money doing it, because we're in a bull market, and we've been in a bull market for Pokemon for 5 years. For 5 years straight, Pokemon has gone up in price. I've never seen anything like this in my entire life. Like I said, I've been collecting cards and stuff since I was 14. And this is the craziest thing I've ever seen. There was never a shortage of cards. There was never a shortage of Pokemon. There was never a shortage of Magic. There was never a shortage of Lord of the Rings, TCG, any of the other card games out there. Take your pick. There was never a shortage of any of them like there is now. And to be completely honest, by shortage, I don't mean that they're printing less. I mean that the hype is so crazy that people who never collected cards in their entire life are now collecting cards, not for collecting, for profit. I call them the sneaker bros, and there's quite a few of them. If you want to do a little bit of research on this yourself, go ahead, but there's multi-million / billionaires who got their start in the sneaker industry, who have set up bots and all kinds of stuff. This was years ago, to buy shoes, sneakers, anything they can get their hands on, they would just buy them out immediately, kind of like they're doing now to Pokemon, because they all realized that it's much easier to flip something when there's more profit involved. Something that doesn't take up as much space, something that has this much hype around it, is not a coincidence. There's pallets and pallets and pallets, hundreds and thousands of pallets of Pokemon that hit stores every single month, and every single month, every store in the United States is sold out of Pokemon. And there's a reason for that, and that's because people think that they can make money selling Pokemon. And you can make money selling Pokemon if you're buying it for $50 and selling it for $80. But the thing is you're not really making money, okay? Because you got to go somewhere to sell this stuff. You can't just, to really make money on it, you can sell it on TCG Player, sure you can. Are you going to make a few dollars? Yes. But are you really making money? Are you making enough money to support yourself? Hell no. There's a finite line of the people that are making enough money to support themselves selling Pokemon, and it's a vast amount. In order to make $3,000 to $4,000 a month selling Pokemon, you would have to literally sell $25,000 to $35,000, maybe even $40,000 a month selling Pokemon. Because after it's all said and done, the fees, even if you sell on eBay, TCG, whatever platform you're trying to sell on, whatnot, whatever it is, you're maybe making 15, 20% on the high off these products if you're lucky. I would probably say that 95% of the people that I meet at card shows all have some sort of secular work that they're doing to make up their losses, their gains, to keep their bellies full. And the main upside to being in the Pokemon sales industry right now is you're going to build up your personal collection if you're doing it right, and you're going to build it up to the point where at some point in the future, 10, 20, 25 years down the road, that you're going to have a substantial amount of money in cardboard that you can offload and hopefully retire at some point. And that's what a lot of people are going for. I don't have an exact number of the value of the cards that I currently own. But if the market keeps going like the market is right now, in another 5 years, $10 cards could be $100 cards could be $1,000 cards could be 10 to 20,000. And if you have enough of them and you're willing to wait, even if the market goes down, sooner or later it will go back up. And if you play your cards right, you're going to have a substantial amount of product sitting around that you can sell. And that's kind of what happened to quite a few people I've known. And I'm going to be making another video real soon with some plans that I have set for the future. I'm going to be making that video here in the next couple days. I really just needed to come up here and clear my head. I live right at the base of the Rocky Mountains. I live 30 minutes from Estes Park. And I hardly ever have a chance to come up here, and it's sad. It's just a sad state of affairs, to be honest. This kind of beauty and tranquility is something there's no amount of money that's worth the time you spend up here. There's no amount of money that's worth it. Even better if you can come up here with people that you love. It's unimaginable, the beauty and the splendor, and I hope it never gets ruined in my lifetime. Something else that's been going on. First, but this video is already 20 minutes in or something probably. I want to thank all of you who I've met, who have been cool to me and my family, that I've met at card shows in the industry, people that I've known in the Loveland, Fort Collins, Greeley, Longmont, Denver area who have continued to be friendly, be friends, even if we're not friends, who have been cordial and nice to talk to at times. Life is too short. In the past year, I've lost 2 mentors. One was from old age. One was from cancer. I've lost a young gentleman who was adopted that I knew, who was an amazing individual, passed away 2 weeks ago from an accident. 2 days ago, a girl that I grew up with a block and a half from my house, who went to the same school as me, went to the same church as me for my whole life basically, passed away. She was the one who adopted that young man. And a handful of other people have all passed away this year. And I got to tell you, I've never lost that many people before. It puts a new perspective on everything. Everything in your life gets a new perspective. The way you want to treat other people, the way you want other people to treat you, the type of people that you have time for or just don't want to bother with anymore. The amount of time that you want to spend at work versus the amount of time you want to spend with your family. There's so many things that unfortunately death puts into perspective for you that you don't think about on a daily basis. And you can't just keep working yourself to death. And if you do, at what point do you stop and say, when do I get to do something that I love to do? What kind of sacrifices are you willing to give to make something happen for yourself that maybe you weren't willing to sacrifice for in the past? If you've got people out there that you care about and loved ones that you haven't said anything to in a while, take the time, give them a call, let them know you care, because tomorrow might be too late, guys. That's all I'm going to say about that. Let's move on from there. Let's take a minute to talk about those of you who want to start vending Pokémon or other TCG, or start vending at shows. I don't care if you make purses and you want to vend those at shows. This is going to pertain to you. There's a lot of hype, especially if you watch YouTube. There's a lot of hype of going to shows right now, made out to be the hottest thing since sliced bread. We got Collecticons, we got Front Row Card Show, we got 10 different card shows in Texas alone that are all big. We've got local ones, Denver Card Show. We've got places, companies throwing card shows literally in 3-4 different states all on the same day from the same company, because it's a big thing right now. And I want to let you know that there are alternatives to card shows. And with as crazy and as expensive as it is to go to some of these shows, the last thing I recommend to people is to do card shows. We're talking anywhere from $300 to $900 just for tables at some of these shows. Think about how many cards you're going to have to sell based on whatever markup you have to pay $300 to $900 for tables at a show. I mean, that's an unbelievable amount of money to a lot of people. That's a house payment. When I first started my business, Taze Kruu, I made a deal with myself that I wasn't going to spend my own personal money, so to speak, on the business. Because I had a collection built up from the time I was 14 years old until now, obviously. And I sold some of that stuff, some of the better stuff. I wish I wouldn't have sold, but it's gotten me to the point where I'm at now. Some of the stuff that I sold to start my business has gone up 10-fold, 20-fold, 50. Was it worth it? Maybe. I guess the point I'm trying to make is there's other avenues to sell things. And the notoriety from YouTube and doing shows is not necessarily worth it to everyone. I have had a lot of fun making videos, meeting people, and recording that for others to see and posting it on YouTube. But that's not for everybody, and you don't have to do that stuff to make money or even enough money to support yourself, especially if you're single. If you have a family to worry about, that's a whole separate subject and situation. I guess bottom line on this is don't jump into doing shows, especially all around the country, unless you have a really legitimate reason for wanting to do it. If it is considered fun for you or a vacation and you've planned on it, great. But don't watch me or some of the other big Pokemon POV people and say, I've got to be there, I've got to be doing that if I want to make it doing this, because that's not the case. You can sell cards on Facebook, you can sell cards on Instagram, you can sell cards on TCG, you can sell cards on eBay, you can sell cards on any platform, anywhere on the internet that you want to. You could start your own website. That's a lot more work, and I've been down that rabbit hole. And you're competing with countless other people who can drown you with their wallet and advertising. So doing your own website is something that is probably the hardest way to sell Pokemon. If you're looking for the hardest way to sell Pokemon, start your own website. I'm dead serious on this. Not only will it take up every last second of your life from having to update it daily, keeping up with the market, all of these other things. Like I said, there's a lot of really big boys selling on their own websites on the internet, and you will not be able to compete with these guys unless you have a small fortune to throw and all the time in the world to throw at trying to compete with these guys. Take it from me. One of the biggest things that I love about selling online or selling on eBay specifically is I don't have to sell just cards, you know. I can sell clothing, anything imaginable that I can get my hands on that I think I can make money on, I could sell it on eBay. And my wife and I are definitely here in the near future probably going to take that to the next level to help support our family, because with my knowledge of products and my knowledge on so many different things from being in retail and sales, there's just a lot of things I know about that, a bunch of useless information that would help me be able to be a good, having eBay as a good avenue for selling things to support ourselves. So that's definitely something we're looking into. If you follow this channel, you already know that I sell on eBay, and it's one of the avenues that I use to keep the business afloat. But taking it to the next level and trying to do that full time is something that we're considering, especially with my back the way it is And obviously knowing that there's a lot of jobs out there I'm not going to be able to do anymore. I'm not going to be able to hop back in a truck and sit for 14 hours a day trying to drive from Montana to Denver and unload groceries or whatever it might be. Is just not something I'm going to be able to do anymore. We've got 2 shows coming up. The next card show that I'm gearing up for is Denver Card Show, but that's not till the end of October. I'm taking an entire month off from doing card shows because it's not because I don't enjoy it, but with the state of mind that I've had lately, I find that I am having a hard time having patience with people when I should be ecstatic and enthused that they're coming around to try and buy cards for me or having fun at the shows. I don't want to be that guy. And it's difficult if you're having a bad day or you're in pain all the time to put on a happy face. So I need a little break. I'm taking an entire month off from doing any kind of a card show. At the last show I did in Las Vegas at Front Row Card Show, by the time I got there, and I didn't even take that much stuff to that show because it was one of the first times I ever did a show by myself. I can't be carrying tons of crap like I used to when I was younger because my back's messed up. So I didn't take as much stuff. I took stuff that I thought I would be able to handle. I had tons of fun, but 8 to 10 Advil and Tylenol in one day to make it through something is not exactly something that I want to do every single week on a regular basis so that I'm in enough pain to be happy to see people and not be in pain all day long. Even just sitting here on this park bench now for 20, 30 minutes, it's aching pretty good. And it's maybe 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. So it's something that I got to regulate. I got to take care of myself. I've been going to physical therapy, but all that does is make it hurt. Does it help me? Does it help me? Yes, it helps strengthen my core to help my muscles support my back. But anyways, I'm going down this rabbit hole. All right, before I get too crazy here on talking your guys' ear off about my back, doing card shows, the current Pokemon market, I want to talk about some stuff that I got in the pipeline. I'm going to be collaborating with a card store / comic book store / basically comic book TCG, all that good stuff, store in Fort Collins, Colorado. It's called Grand Slam Sports Card Comics. The guy that owns the store is named Kevin Keene. He started his own store, probably super early 90s, late 80s in Loveland. And since then, he's now has a store in Loveland, Fort Collins, and Greeley, specializing in different things. The store in Loveland specializes in more sports cards and comics. The store in Greeley is heavy comics. And the store in Fort Collins is more of a I don't know if I would say more family friendly, because all of them are very friendly stores, but I think in the Fort Collins store, definitely emphasis on more family friendly. And I'm going to be doing all the Pokemon single sales at that store in Fort Collins. We'll see how that goes, and I'll let you know exactly when that starts. And I'll let you know when you guys can come hang out and buy some cards. So that's super exciting. Another avenue to kind of get some sales out there and have a good time and hang out up there at the card shop, who also has a Pokemon League every Sunday. And we'll get into that more in the future. And I'll get you the store location, what hours they're open, all that good stuff. Make a whole video out of it for you guys. One of the crazy things about the Rocky Mountains, especially up here, up near Estes Park and around the national park, Rocky Mountain National Park, you're going to find lots of these piles of timber piled up. And one of the reasons for that is because I would say probably like 15, 20 years ago, we had a very serious outbreak of pine beetles that hit the area, and they killed just thousands, an unbelievable amount of pine trees. And the park didn't really know what to do. Luckily, so many of them haven't been affected yet, obviously, because there's still pine trees up here. And they smell unimaginably beautiful. Good morning, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
But they cut all those trees up and they put them in piles up there. And you'll see those all over the national park, all around Estes. It's unfortunate, but it's better to have them in piles like that than to have all that dead timber just laying everywhere all the time. This is just a really beautiful little lake. I love walking around this. It's called Lily's Lake. And it's so beautiful all year round. It's so beautiful. You've got the perfect combination of a very peaceful, calm little lake, the mountain views, the trees changing colors this time of year. You'll see some cute little chipmunks and wildlife you won't see anywhere else in the entire world, except for up here. Like I said, I traveled all over the United States. I've been in every state in the lower 48. I've driven through or stopped in and hiked and all kinds of stuff. Some of my favorite places in the entire world are all here in Colorado, but also we've got the Pennsylvania Dutch country is definitely one of my favorite places. You can get some of the best food in the country in and around Reading, Lancaster, Shillington area. The forest is really dense and thick in that part of Pennsylvania. And so is the farmland. They have all kinds of farmers markets and all kinds of stuff. You never eat better in your entire life than if you spend enough time in Pennsylvania. Here I am showing you beautiful Colorado and talking about Pennsylvania. So I've been thinking a lot about what sets in Pokemon that I think I want to pick up to try and have as an asset for down the road 10-20 years, and in English, not in Japanese. I've been going through all of them. I think the two right now that really stick out to me, and I know there's a ton of hype right now around Mega, the new Mega set, and there's a ton of hype about 2026. Obviously, the Team Rocket set is very popular, has one of the strongest box prices I've ever seen for Pokemon for a brand new set. Destined Rivals, obviously a great set. I mean, the artwork's phenomenal. Really cool set, really fun to collect. But the two that really stick out to me right now is Surging Sparks, and another one, the other two that really stick out to me are White Flare and Black Bolt. And I'm going to tell you why. Let's start with Surging Sparks. Surging Sparks has the highest number of playable cards. Obviously, it's in standard play right now. But if you look at all the other sets combined, Surging Sparks has the most playable cards out of any of the sets that's in super hot demand for standard play right now. And you got all the trainers in that set are super good. Pikachu's playable, Latios playable. There's so many good cards in that set that are all in standard play right now. it's great. The artwork's great. The box prices are right where they need to be right now for us to pick some up. I think that set is going to go through the roof in the future. It's got the big Pikachu card in it. It's literally got everything it needs to be a serious contender for some serious money 10 or 20 years down the road. I don't think you can go wrong with that set. I don't think I misguide anyone by saying, hey, pick up some Surging Sparks, get yourself a couple of booster boxes, put them in some plastic, stick them in a shelf, and sit on them for 10 or 20 years. I almost guarantee they're going to be worth 10, 20x of what you paid for them in 10 or 20 years, if you're willing to wait that long. Just unimaginable beauty right here, man. Unimaginable. The big Pikachu SIR, one of the coolest terrestrializations ever in all of them. It's a beautiful card. And there's no way that card's not $1,000 in the future. Just raw value. You got the Milotic Phoebus combined artwork in that set. I mean, so many beautiful cards in Surging Sparks. It's unbelievable. Moving on to Black Bolt, White Flare. Why do I think that set? You got the Victini. People don't even think about that card being in that set. That is one of the most beautiful, gorgeous, red hollow cards I've ever seen printed in any card set in my entire life. That card is so unbelievably beautiful. Obviously then you got the all black and the all white card, and those are very cool. They're unlike any other Pokemon cards I've ever seen. And there's a lot of really cool other artworks. The biggest thing those two sets have going for them is the time in which they have been printed. They have been printed in the middle of the biggest bull run I think we're ever going to see in our lifetime. And I think this bull run could go for another 5 years before it kind of flattens out. And look at the sets that these Black Bolt and White Flare have been printed in the middle of. They've been printed in the middle of the biggest set I've seen in a while, which was Destined Rivals. And before, they're going to reprint Megas. Now, let me ask you this. If they were going to reprint something in the near future, do you think it's going to be a limited set like Black Bolt and White Flare that they're going to reprint in the near future? Hell no. They're going to reprint the big sets. They're going to reprint Destined Rivals. They're going to reprint... They just did reprint Surging Sparks and put a bunch of ETBs on the marketplace for us. Good morning. So what I'm saying is that Black Bolt and White Flare are going to be a limited print run. This might be the only time we ever see these sets. If they do reprint them, it might be one time, maybe a year or two from now. They are going to have their hands so full with all the big box sets that they're putting out. They're not going to even care about something like Black Bolt or White Flare that only come with like a sticker collection and a binder and like 4 or 5 packs in a box, they're not going to care about reprinting that anytime soon. I think that, like I said, this might be one of the only chances you're going to get to see these sets in the wild. And if you're picking these boxes up for 55 bucks to sell them at 80 at a card show, you are absolutely out of your mind. You should not be selling them. It's the only chance you're ever going to get to buy these at anywhere near market value or retail value for that matter. I mean, let's compare Black Bolt and White Flare to some of the more recent sets that have been just crazy popular, that we've seen just huge spikes in the marketplace. I mean, both of these sets have cards in them that are easily have cards in them that are worth $300-$400 each. The Victini alone, the white, solid white black card, Reshiram Zekrom. Let's take a look at what freaking 151 and the roller coaster 151 has put people through just with its ETBs. Do I think White Flare and Black Bolt are as good a set as 151? Probably not. It's debatable, right? Are they limited in print compared to 151? Abso-freaking-lutely. It has never been reprinted, even though it just came out a little while back, right? Never been reprinted. Also, one of the craziest things about those two sets is, actually, let me back up and go back to what I was saying about 151, okay? 151 has been reprinted over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. It's been in big box stores a dozen times. It's been in big boxes. It's been in so many different products. It's unbelievable. And look at the prices on that thing. Which means people will just never, ever stop opening 151, apparently. I might be going out on quite the tangent here. But to be honest, while I set up my stand here, am I out of my mind for trying to compare Black Bolt and White Flare to 151? I don't really think I am, because tell me one set in recent times that has not gone completely insane in the marketplace. I mean, the biggest extreme piece of crap set out there right now is still worth what? A few $100s for a set that came out maybe a year or two ago. I can't even think of a set off the top of my head where I'm like, man, that Pokemon set was just an absolute pile of shit. I can't even think of one that I don't really like that much. The one I had a little bit of a hard time thinking it was going to be worth anything is Journey Together. Journey Together is one of those sets where I was just like, you know what? I don't think this set is that good. But it kind of grew on me. I didn't go out of my way to pick any up. I didn't buy any booster boxes. I bought 2, 3 ETBs at the most. I had some people sell me some ETBs at shows. I sold those, but I kept 1 or 2 or 3 of them at home, and that's all I got of Journey Together. And maybe I'll regret that in the future. I didn't think Journey Together was going to be that good. I mean, the chase card is probably just under 200 bucks right now, Lily's Clefairy. I think it's a really beautiful card. Maybe even playable. But that being the biggest chase card and it being such a small set, there are some really pretty cards in Journey Together. Is it going to be something I'm going to be looking to pick up for 10, 20 years down the road? Probably not. I'm probably not going to buy any more than the few ETBs I have, just because I think the set was printed very heavily. I think there's a good possibility it'll get reprinted again in the future. So yeah, not my biggest choice. That's the only set I can think of that's come out in the past couple of years where I'm like, man, I don't think it's going to be that good. But I do think that Black Bolt and White Flare, unless Pokemon opens another printing press somewhere and just starts reprinting the crap out of all these sets that we have coming out right now, with as big as the demand is, and with these whales that are just going around buying and buying and buying, is just filling up these warehouses full of product. I don't think these sets are ever going to see a reprint with any kind of significance. I mean, look at how quickly and close together Pokemon is making these new sets. I mean, what do we got? A new set coming out every 2.5 or 3 months is what it feels like. It feels like yesterday Journey Together came out, and now it's been Journey Together, Destined Rivals, Black and White, Megas is out now, and that's all in the past year or less. Sword and Shield is long gone. If you can find any product from Sword and Shield at all, you're lucky. I mean, it's just so hyped out of recognition that you're lucky to find any of it, unless you want to pay, really pay for hundreds and hundreds of dollars for a booster box of anything in Sword and Shield. Another thing I wanted to say is, don't go, unless you're made of money, which I'm not, do not go buying some of the big chase cards like Bubble Mew from Scarlet and Violet now. If you have them already and you've gone through the waves of ups and downs, I mean, that fine, maybe hang on to 1 or 2 of them, but do not invest in Bubble Mews at $800 and Mew EX's promos, the pink one where Mew's flying through the city, at $90 to $200, wherever it is now. Your time for getting those and making tons of money on them is over. Are there some clean copies out there that haven't been graded? Probably. But don't go out of your way to try and pick up these cards right now, because there's no profit in it. Try to find the next Bubble Mew, and if you can, whenever a set comes out, if you're trying to flip cards for profit, do not buy those cards when the set first comes out. Don't buy the singles. Don't do it. You're not going to make any money on them. I made the mistake of buying at the last show I was at, I made the mistake of buying the newest Gardevoir, which is a fantastic, beautiful card. It's worth over $400, over $500 now. And I think it's because there's so much hype behind the set, but I broke my own rule, and now I'm sitting on a card that who knows what it's going to do. Is it going to go up to $700, $800? Is it going to go down to $300? It probably will go down. Try to find the cards in the sets, and when you find a good deal on it, pick it up. If you pull a really good card from a pack, best advice I can give you is to stick it in your binder with a really nice sleeve on it and let it sit in that binder until you feel like you really need the money. And if you don't really need the money, then do not sell that card. Do not sell it. Sit on it. Let it chillax for 10 years, maybe longer than that. And don't sell your best cards because it's a super hype thing to do right now. You don't need to sell your cards. Can you have fun selling some of the cards that you have duplicates of? Yes. Are you trying to have a business? Fine. Then try to have a business doing what you love doing. Fine. If that's the reason why you're going to sell it, then live with that. But if you're a collector, or you're just starting out thinking about doing some vendoring, then don't sell your best cards. Keep them. And I promise you, 10 years down the road, when you really need that money, you're going to be able to pop that thing on eBay. It's going to sell like the world is on fire fast. Every time I list a card that I know is really worth something that's going to be hard to find and I put it on the internet, it literally lasts less than 10 hours and it's sold. And I think to myself, I should have charged more. What was I thinking? Should have charged more because it was really nice. It was a clean copy. Another thing, if you have older cards, vintage, fossil, jungle, base set, anything with a first edition mark on it, if it's a holo, you already know it's worth money. But I'm talking about the non-holo cards. If it's first edition, do not sell these cards. Some of them are worth, what, $1, $2, $3 right now? Maybe 10 for the non-holos if you're lucky. There is zero reason, I mean zero reason, why you should sell those cards. Don't sell them. We are in a time right now where the non-holo cards that came out 20 years ago, 18 years ago, 15 years ago, are gonna start to have some real value. I have a pile of cards at home that are non-holos, really minty condition from Fossil, Jungle, base set, a lot of the Neo Discovery, Neo Revelation, all those kind of cards. We are in a time very shortly where those cards are going to be unattainium and they are going to start to go up. Do I think they're going to be $100? No, not for another 20 years, but I think shortly, in another 5 or 10 years, that a lot of those older vintage cards that are non-holo first edition are easily going to be worth between 10, 20, some of them $30+. And just the fact that you didn't sell them and you sat around on them for 10 years or 10 more years or however long it's going to take, if you have 100 of them, even if you have just 100 copies of first edition Fossil or first edition Jungle that are in good shape, multiply 100 times $30. I mean, if $3,000 doesn't sound good to you just from having some pieces of cardboard sit around for another 10 years when they're not barely worth anything now, I'm willing to take that. All right, guys, found a better spot. Not so many people. Let's talk about grading for a minute. Right now, we've got a few good graders in the United States. And by good graders, what do I mean by that? I mean that when you grade with them, you should be able to sell your graded cards for a profit, regardless of what grade it gets. If you're doing it right. If you're not doing it right, you're gonna get a bunch of shit that nobody wants, and you're gonna end up selling them for $11 each to some guy that wants to do mystery packs like an asshole, selling PSA 5 through 7s to unsuspecting kids in public for $35 when he should be taken out in the back of the alley and beat to death with his own slabs. Mystery slabs bug the shit out of me. I have sold some mystery slabs, but I always make sure that if I sell a mystery slab for 25 bucks, that there's $25 of value in there, and I do it more of a fun thing for people. Anyways, that's a side tangent. Grading companies, PSA, Beckett, Ace Grading, probably make money if you send the right cards to be graded with those people. Don't send your cards to CGC. Just don't do it. You're gonna end up with a bunch of slabs that you can't move, that nobody wants. You might get a couple of 10s that might move for you, and the rest of them, you're gonna be like, this is stupid. Why did I send cards to CGC? Because you're not gonna get shit for them. I won't even buy CGC slabs from people unless they're a 10. And then at that point, I usually pay them 15 or 16 bucks and I sell them for maybe $24, $25. Are there cards graded by CGC that are worth money? Sure there are. Is it a company that I'm specifically going to go to a card show and be like, man, I really want to pick up a CGC slab today? Fuck no, it's just not going to happen. So let's talk about PSA for a minute. Right now, the cheapest price you can grade any card with PSA is like 18 and change, $18.99, $19. PSA is running the market right now, and it's borderline whether it's worth it or not, guys, at those prices. And I'm going to explain to you what's going on. So when you grade a card with PSA, there's a check mark box. If you check the check mark box to have PSA do this, they will list your cards for you on eBay. If you don't check the check mark box and you have the cards sent back to you because you like to do card shows or for whatever reason you want to try to sell them yourself, do they grade the cards shittier since they are not making their cut on selling the cards for you? This is a conflict of interest. And where there is a conflict of interest with one thing, there are multiple, always where there's smoke there's fire. There's multiple conflicts of interest on all the other stuff. So when you buy a card from eBay from somebody else, there's also a check mark box which allows you for $39.99 to send your card directly to PSA to have it graded, which is also another conflict of interest because under the PSA check mark box there isn't another check mark box to go to any of the other grading companies. So they're starting to monopolize eBay, which is by far probably one of the biggest seller of TCG in the world. Even though we have TCG Player and all these other platforms, eBay is by far still, when it comes to graded cards, the #1 place to sell cards for graded. There have been many different reports from people all over the country, from hundreds and thousands of YouTubers like myself, who take pictures of their cards before they send them into PSA, and when they get the cards back, very easily recognize that the cards that they got back from PSA are not the same cards that they sent in, or that the cards were damaged while they were at PSA and no one said shit about it and they just sent the cards back to the customer with shitty grades that aren't gonna, These practices, if they were regulated like any other company, would be frowned upon and they would be shut down and sued. Unfortunately, the Pokemon / grading companies are not regulated in any form or fashion. And is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know, because was Las Vegas better when the Mafia ran Las Vegas, or is it better now? Fuck if I know. Like, for all I know, it was a lot more fun back when things were being run by the Mafia. Which is pretty funny. There's a lot of stuff that PSA is doing that makes it feel shady and like we are doing business with a business that is part of the underworld. Beckett, let's talk about Beckett. What are some of the advantages and disadvantages of grading with Beckett? Beckett has the most stringent, strictest code, or however you want to say that, for grading cards, which means if you have a 10 with a different company, you crack it, you send it to Beckett, chances are it's a 9.5 or a 9 and not a 10. The upside of grading with Beckett right now is it's still around the $15 mark, and there are less shady things coming to fruition on the internet about Beckett. I'm not saying they're perfect by any means. You don't have any way of knowing whether or not they're switching out your cards. They don't show you anything about the inside workings of the company or how they grade the cards or the exact specific checklists that they go through when they grade the cards. All anybody knows, and this is the main factor that keeps Beckett in business, is that if you get a 10 with Beckett or a black label with Beckett, that the cards are worth an absolute shit ton more than any PSA 10. And that's because getting a 10 from Beckett is so much harder than getting a PSA 10 or a CGC 10 or Ace Grading 10, any kind of those 10, which is awesome. Lately, I've been doing all of my grading with Beckett, and I've been pretty much happy. Like, getting a 9.5 stings, but the 9.5s are just as lucrative as a PSA 10 in most cases. So it is what it is. It's whatever. When I do get a 10, I'm really happy. And when I get a black label, which I've gotten one so far, it's awesome. So let's talk about Ace Grading. Ace Grading. I learned about Ace Grading through Randy, the YouTuber, like most people. Really admire the guy because of what he's done in his space, selling Pokemon, it's awesome. He's a real go-getter. Nothing but respect for the guy. Anyways, I sent a submission to Ace Grading in January or February. It got stuck in customs. I tried contacting everyone for months, for 6 months, easily for 6 months. I tried contacting the UK Postal Service, whatever it's called, Parcel UK, whatever it's called over there. I must have sent 30 to 50 emails. I didn't hear anything back for months and months and months on end while they tried to track down this package. The whole time it was just sitting in the UK, and I tried calling Ace Grading to see if they could make a phone call or anything like that. They're not going to help you. No one's going to help you. Turns out that after 6 months I got the package back. It took that long and it never made it to Ace Grading. So long story short, none of this is against Ace Grading whatsoever. But the package never got there. And I live in the US and they're based in the UK. And I had a really shitty experience with that. So I haven't sent it back to Ace Grading. So be aware that that kind of stuff can happen. Luckily, I had taken out all the proper insurances for the value of the small box I had sent over there, which had 60 cards in it, by the way. And because of the insurance that I paid on it, it was put into a more priority section of the Postal Service, which means that the package didn't get lost. And it just took that long to come back. I got super lucky I got those cards back. But at the same time, I won't send to Ace Grading anymore. And it's not their fault, but the Postal Service sucked. It's just too far away. So it is what it is. But I do love their slabs and the way they look. Ace Grading has a product that nobody else has right now because of how cool their slabs look, and you gotta give them props for that. Anyways, there's a lot of shady stuff going on in the grading industry right now, and be careful that you don't get burned. Don't send cards to have them graded that are not worth being graded. Don't send $3 cards to get graded and expect to make more than $3 when they come back as anything less than a 10. You could have the coolest $3 looking card. The bottom line is it's $3. It's worth $3, and if it doesn't come back as a 10, it comes back as a 9, it's basically not worth the plastic that it was put in. It costs you 15 to 20 bucks to have it graded, and the card's not worth 15 to $20. So stop grading that kind of shit, guys. Stop sending $3 to $5 cards to have them graded. It's not worth anybody's time, and it just pollutes the market with so much of this saturated shitty plastic that nobody wants. That's all I'm going to say about that. All right, so I'm going to wrap up this video. If you're still here all the way to the end, you are an absolute legend. Thank you for spending some time with me on whatever day this is when you're watching it. Leave me a thumbs up and leave me a comment knowing that you watched the video all the way to the end, and I will respond to you. I really appreciate you guys. I know that there's a few of you out there who I've talked with at the card shows who are just absolute legends. Some friends I've made along the way. Thank you so much, guys, and I look forward to seeing all your smiling faces in the future. Thank you so much. This is Roger from Taze Kruu. Just wanted to touch base with you guys. Thanks a lot. See you in the next one.